sit on the floor, or you just want to move around, or you want to stretch, feel free that this is an opportunity for you guys to do that, and throughout, while we're sitting here talking, okay? So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris, and I do holistic healing. And I've been doing it now for, well, I started off doing psychic readings in 2003. I moved to the Bay Area in 2002, and I went to one of the psychic schools in Berkeley and learned how to do readings. And I did readings for a while. I did them from 2003 to about 2005, 2006, and just kind of sporadically, not as a business, just for fun and for healing and for a little extra money every now and then. And then I decided to get into Bodywork School. And you are in the school that I've attended, World School of Massage. And since I've been in Bodywork School, it's just it took me into the realm of my body. Okay? And for me, this was a very scary place for me to be in. And I didn't know how scared I was being in my body until I actually got in it. And what I mean by that is like conscious awareness. I brought conscious awareness into my body. Because when I was doing psychic work, it was more, when you do energy work, you're kind of out there in the field of energy, and you're not really like here presencing the body too much, or at least that was my experience of it. And when I got into Bodywork School, it took me the opposite. It took me directly inside. Because, you learn how to massage the body, and you're also receiving body work. And if you've ever gotten any body work, you know that when you receive it, not only do you feel it, but there may be some emotional things that come up for you. I mean, this piece, or ally, that I like to call it now, can really be a beautiful space for us to get to know ourselves, and can really be our messenger. And that's one of the reasons that I want to teach this workshop, Loving My Body, is because I firmly believe through my own practices and my own healing is that since I've journeyed inside and got connected to my physical body, my whole life has changed. I mean, the reason that I feel confident to be standing in front of you right now talking to you about this is because I've had the willingness and the conscious awareness to go inside my body and to heal. Okay, so that's one of the things that I wanted to share with people with this workshop series is, I feel like there's so much that we can get to know about ourselves, and the topics that I have in the workshop are I call it the 5 bodies of health and well-being. There's a class on nourishment and cleansing. There's a class on the emotional body. There's a class on movement. There's a class on meditation and present moment awareness. And then the integrative and celebrational body. There's a lot of different, and these are only a few layers that we could touch on. But I felt intuitively this would be a great place to get started. And, I personally have touched on all of these myself, so I have a lot of really fun things, like as far as tools to share with you, and stories, because we all like stories. We like to have rapport and build with people, right? So I felt that this would be a great place to get started. So another thing that I'd like to talk to you about today is another layer of why I want to teach this workshop. And one of the layers is that I have just had a lot of things go on with my body. I've had intestinal things, I've had skin stuff, I've had, you name it. I've had like the gamut of stuff going on with my body. And one of the things that I found, particularly that would come up quite a bit, was negative self-talk. Like, some people call it mind chatter, some people call it the monkey mind, some people call it the stuff that's going on in your head that's not true, that kind of thing. But what I found for me is that the more conscious awareness that I brought being in my body and just being comfortable with it, the more conscious I got of my thoughts and how those thoughts were creating habits. They would create addictions. They would create things that I would do, like unconsciously. Like I would just, do things and I'd be like, what am I doing? And I found that the more conscious awareness I brought to not only my thoughts but my body, the more I started to understand like what was happening for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write on the board some of the things that I would say to myself, and then I may ask you guys to kind of chime in with some of the things that you say to yourself, okay? Because we all have them, okay? So some of the things that I would say, I'll just call it language. One of the things that I used to say to myself, okay, quite often, was, I know you guys have heard this one before, I'm fat. Okay, so with this thought in your mind, how many of you have ever experienced I'm fat? Yeah, okay. Yeah, come on, yeah, guys too. It's not all women, all right? Okay, so what we're going to look at is say, I'm fat, right? This is the thought or the language that we speak, right? Okay, so if we're saying, I'm fat, okay, what sort of action do you think? Well, let's say, well, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm fat. I have that thought in my head, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm feeling fat. Pretty soon, actually, we're not going to go to action yet. We're going to go to feeling. Action is the last part. Okay. Okay, so if I have the thought, I'm fat, what did you guys notice when I said that word?
You got sad.
Yeah, did you see the expression? I was like, my body remembers that. That wasn't something I did consciously. My body just remembered. This is how intelligent our bodies are, okay? So, feeling is I'm sad. Okay, with a little smiley face. Okay, so if I have that feeling, the thought, I'm fat, the feeling, I'm sad, what kind of action do you think I would do? Let's just say, for instance, okay, so I'm fat, sad, so what would I do?
Go eat.
Go eat a donut. Because you know what? For me, personally, this is just my story, okay, it's not saying you, but when I would equate like something sweet with something joyful. Okay, because of my upbringing, because of what I've learned, that sort of thing. But what happens is, when you go from one thought to a feeling, crazy feeling, there's always an action that happens because of it, right? And this is all unconscious. Because if I were conscious, I probably wouldn't have the same feelings or the same actions, right? Okay? So let's talk about one of you guys. Let's somebody throw out something, a thought. Start with a thought. What any of you guys are willing to share something? Something that you say to yourself a lot. Doesn't necessarily feel very good.
I'm late.
Okay, awesome. I'm late. Now what kind of feeling is I'm late? What would that make you feel like?
Anxious.
Okay, anxious. And what is usually the action from this language, this feeling?
Makes me not in the present and, you know, just frazzled.
Frazzled. Okay, so would you say your action is like you're doing a lot of different things at once, kind of thing?
You know, like miss lights or
Okay.
like miss, you know, not aware of driving. Or
Okay,
not aware
yeah,
of
like you miss a
whatever.
red light or something.
That's like.
No. Can I just share a quick story with you really quick? Okay, so some of you know me pretty well. Some of you don't know me, but I do a lot of metaphorical references. Okay, because in psychic school, that's what we were taught to learn. Like whenever you see a psychic picture, it's a metaphor for something. So I don't care. I'll
What do you mean a
expose myself.
psychic picture?
Oh, like when I do psychic readings,
Mhm.
you see a picture, like a movie screen
Right,
kind of
right.
picture,
Mhm.
and it's usually a metaphor for something. It's like many needs metaphorically, and I'll give you an example. This is explain it a little bit further. So recently, I've been in this big growth period of learning about myself, as always. But I just happened to open up my mailbox one day, look at this letter. I'm like, oh, what's this? Open it up, my picture, and it's a ticket. $400 ticket. I ran a red light. And I was like, oh, of course, trigger, thoughts, feeling, action, you know, of course, you know. So when I was like, okay, now, since I'm a coach, I was like, okay, now how would I coach somebody on this? Okay, so in that point in time in my life, right, I was looking at a red light being the red light of my life, trying to get me to stop and slow down. And what have I been doing? Walking through it. And I was literally paying for it.
Yeah.
That was a metaphor. And you know what? When I put that in